All right, today we're going to tackle something that, let's be honest, can feel kind of impossible. We're going to take a really dense professional technical analysis report for the stock MU, and we're going to turn it from a wall of numbers into a clear, understandable story.
You know that feeling, right? You look at a report like this, and your eyes just glaze over. It's this jungle of numbers, weird acronyms, and charts. But what if I told you there's a clear path right through the middle of it all?
Because that's the secret. These reports aren't just random data. They're telling a story about how a stock has been behaving. It's not about predicting the future with a crystal ball. It's about understanding what's happening right now. So today, we're going to crack this code, and we're going to do it together.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll open up the case file to see what we're working with. Then, we'll establish the trend. That's the big picture. After that, we're going to gauge the momentum to see how much power is behind the move. Next, we'll assess the environment. Get the full context. And finally, we'll put all those clues together for the final verdict.
Okay, first things first, the case file. What we're looking at here is a technical analysis report for a stock with the ticker symbol MU. And all this data is just a snapshot in time, taken at the end of the trading day on December 31st, 2025.
Now, a really quick but important heads up. Our mission here is not to give you financial advice. It's to teach you how to read the language of the market, how to take all this data and translate it into a clear story about what this stock has been up to lately.
Let's start our investigation with the most fundamental question you can ask. Big picture, which way has this stock been heading? We need to establish that primary trend. And to do that, we use a tool called a moving average. Look, think of it like this. If the daily price is a crazy, zigzagging back road, the moving average is the smooth, superhighway that shows you the general direction you're traveling. Now, not all these superhighways are the same, right? You've got your short-term averages, like a 50-day average. They show us the recent traffic patterns. But the long-term ones, like the 200-day, they show us the fundamental direction the whole road was built to go in. And that's our main clue. Okay, now let's look at the actual evidence. The current price is about $287, and it is absolutely soaring above both the 50-day average of $240 and, even more importantly, the 200-day average way down at $148. This is textbook. It's a classic sign of a really powerful uptrend. This thing isn't just climbing, it's practically launching.
And this number right here just hammers the point home. The stock is trading at over 95% of its highest price in the entire last year. This is just confirmation of what those moving averages were screaming at us. The overall trend is powerfully bullish.
So, we know the direction is up, way up. The next logical question is, okay, but how much gas is in the tank? We need to figure out the force, or the momentum, that's actually behind this trend. Our first tool for this job is the RSI, or Relative Strength Index. And honestly, the best way to think about it is as a speedometer for the stock. It tells us not just the direction, but the speed of the price changes. Is it accelerating hard, or is it just kind of cruising along?
So, the report shows MU's 14-day RSI is currently at 65.14. Now, that number by itself, it doesn't really mean much, right? It's just a number. It needs context. So let's put it on the gauge.
So here's the scale. Anything above 70 is often seen as overbought, kind of like the engine is redlining. Below 30 is oversold. At 65.14, MU is showing some seriously strong momentum. It's moving fast, no doubt about it, but it hasn't quite hit that potential exhaustion point yet. The foot's on the gas, but it's not slammed to the floor. Okay, let's get a second opinion on this momentum with an indicator called the MACD. Now, this one sounds complicated, but think of it as a race between two runners. You've got a short-term sprinter and a long-term marathoner. The MACD just tells us if the sprinter is pulling away from the marathoner, which means momentum is picking up speed.
Now, you could get lost in all these numbers, but the key piece of evidence here is the histogram. Since it's positive, that tells us our sprinter is still pulling away from our marathoner. That's another bullish signal, confirming that upward momentum is still building. So that's 2 for 2 on strong momentum.
So we know the direction and we know the speed. Now let's look at the road conditions. Is this a smooth ride or is it a bumpy one? And maybe more importantly, is this a crowded party or an empty one? To answer that, we got to look at the environment.
And to do that, we look at two key clues: volatility and volume. Volatility tells us how much the price is bouncing around day to day, and volume tells us how many people are actually buying and selling. See, high volume can really confirm that a trend is strong.
And here is our first real plot twist. Look at the relative volume. A score of 1 is average, so 0.436 tells us that this recent price surge happened on really light trading. Now, why does that matter? Because it suggests a lack of conviction. It's like a party with great music, but not many people are on the dance floor. This doesn't kill the uptrend, not at all, but it's a yellow flag. It's something we definitely need to pay attention to.
And that brings us to our final act, putting it all together. It's time to take all the clues we've gathered, the good, the bad, and the kind of weird, and assemble them into one final verdict.
So here's the case file laid bare. On the left, the bullish clues are powerful. The price is way above its long-term average. Momentum indicators like MACD and RSI are strong, and it's right near its 52-week high. But on the right, we've got our warning signs. Some short-term indicators are showing exhaustion, that volume is worryingly light, and the last trading day was actually negative.
So when you put it all together, what's the story the data is telling us? It's this. We have a very strong, very well-established uptrend. The car is clearly moving up the mountain. But there are some early signs, like that light volume and a few minor indicators, that suggest the driver might be easing their foot off the accelerator just a little bit.
So, what's the bottom line? This report paints a picture of a stock that's in a powerful, undeniable uptrend, but it also whispers a word of caution. It's pointing to some signs of short-term fatigue and maybe a lack of real conviction from the crowd.
And that leaves us with the final question this entire report poses. Is this simply a healthy breather in a long climb, a chance for the trend to catch its breath before continuing higher? Or are these subtle clues, like the low volume, the first real warning signs of a potential change in direction? The report gives us the facts, and now we know how to ask the right questions.